Welcome back to the lab. No ugly face today. Straight into stuff and things. Steering wheel for the Gloria. And actually, steering wheel boss. Here's the rest of the pieces that make up that. So, you go online and try and find yourself a steering wheel boss for a 1969 HA30 Nissan Gloria, and you will find there's simply no such thing. You can't buy them. Not as far as I can tell anyway, with all the research that I've done, and I've spent a lot of time looking into it. This is goes on there like that. That makes a steering wheel boss that has this cover, goes over this piece, makes it look pretty, a bit like that. That's probably what you're more familiar with seeing. This is from something, I don't know what it is from, but it's not from an HA30 Gloria. It doesn't fit properly, but it's close enough to do the job. Somebody had made these. These are just absolute work of art. Look, the thread on it is almost non-existent. It's almost a pin rather than the thread, and just some of the worst engineering you could imagine hanging off the end of that. A bit of weld just butchered into shape, and they were in these other holes here, and they're actually, the outside edges of those were the wrong diameter, incorrect to operate the indicator cancel system on the car, and also there wasn't enough height in this, and the pins weren't driving the system properly. It was riding up over the top, and they just were failing. Apart from the fact there really wasn't any grip as such, like this tapered, you can see it's a real mess into here, so the chances of these actually physically falling out and potentially jamming up the steering was pretty high. It was a good chance that could actually happen. So this was too small a diameter, so I've taken a tiny fraction off the outside of it to get a good smooth surface. Made a collar. I was going to call it a bush. I'm going to call it a collar because it sounds better. Collar to go over the outside of it. That's pressed onto there nice and tight, and then we can drill our holes onto the, basically it was right smack bang on the edge of the original part that was here, and put some roll pins in there, and now the indicator cancel system works perfectly. So that's awesome. I fixed that. This piece here is now good to go. We're all happy with that. I'm happy with that. Certified will be happy with that. LVBTA should be happy with it. There's no welding or anything dodgy on that, so that particular part there, that's good. This part here is scrap metal, because as you can see, somebody has, apparently it was an engineer down the South Island did this for the guy that used to own the car. He's welded this plate onto here to adapt this steering wheel to fit a boss with a different PCD. Why he did it that way, don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Should have drilled and countersunk some other holes in here to suit that boss, and just made a simple adapter plate rather than welding this on here and effectively writing this whole thing off and making it illegal. And then it's become my problem. That was sketchy as. I mean, it's alright, only holds the steering wheel to the car. Nothing safety critical or anything like that, right? What we have here is a very large lump of aluminium. I mean, the size of my hand there. I don't have tiny little hands, so it's a pretty big lump of aluminium. That's going to go on the lathe. I'm going to make that out of that effectively. That should take a little bit of time. We'll give it a bit more edge distance. Certified was concerned about the edge distance, so we'll give that a bit more. Even though that was made to match up nicely with the horn adapter and all that, I'll taper it out from there so it relieves his concern about that. And we'll get on with it, we'll get it done, and then I'll smash this to pieces with a hammer, because it's actually cost me, that silly move by someone down the South Island there has cost me a lot of time researching, trying to find one. You know what? Let's get started. Off to a okay start. Sort of got the angle it's close, a bit big at the bottom maybe, but that's alright. Nowhere near finished yet. So that's that. It's a bit bigger, as I said. That end there, that's not bad, see that? I've tapered that out and try and make it look nice. It's pretty arty-farty, isn't it? So next step, I've got to bore out the guts of it in the middle there. That'll be pretty simple. It'll be just figure out what that angle is from this base to that face there and the distance, and then bore a big hole up the guts of it, set up my headstock or whatever you want to call them, bloody slide, horizontal, vertical, what is it, longitudinal slide, that'll do. I'm going to call it that today. I've forgotten the actual technical term for it, but set that up on the correct angle and get in there and machine the cone in the end of that. No, don't make marijuana jokes, it's nothing to do with that. Yes, I know I'm called the lab and I just said cone, whatever. Anyway, so do that. Alright, that's that done. That far anyway. Pretty heavy. Not worried about that too much. Drilled and tapped into the back of this new piece that I've made. Upgraded the bolts from 5mm to 6mm. Give it a little bit more strength. Was considering putting another couple of bolts in here, but look, I don't think it's really worth the hassle. Those bolts will probably have more strength than the connection from here to here anyway, so there's no significant point of failure to worry about there. Next is drill those holes that you see on that piece into this piece here. A little bit late today, so I'm not going to bother with that today. And I have to poke a hole through there for the horn wire. That one there. So that'll be easy enough. I'll just put that in the drill press and just drill straight through. It'll poke out the other side here and we'll be sorted for that. Only a small pile of swarf on the floor there, not too bad. And there we are, fitted into the car. Looks not too bad. Obviously the original base there, not the most prettiest thing in the world, but we'll just leave that be for now. The customer's possibly going to want to anodize or powder coat or paint this. This piece here definitely has to go black. That's what he wants. This all has to come out of the way to get that out and do that. That might be happening soon due to delays with LVVTA. Happens, not going to complain, whatever, moving along. That'll go whatever, black or body colour, or you could even do a little bit more tidying up with the welding and stuff, and that could be polished, which would look quite trick. Indicator delete is now working, so here's our turn the wheel to the right, that's all good. Turn it to the left, turns the indicator off, that's cool. Turn it to the left, turn the wheel to the right, turns the indicator off. Awesome, that now works. It didn't when I put it back in. I think it was the turning to the right, it wouldn't cancel, so I had to adjust one of the tiny little mechanisms in here. By adjust, I mean take it out and put it on the bench and literally hit it with a hammer and put it back together, and now it works. It wasn't working because it was just slightly more worn than the other side, so. Okay, it's dealing with this power steering leak, which is basically the seal that goes onto the shaft here is the one that's leaking. So not particularly easy to get the rack out of the car. Some idiot designed it, so it was a bit tricky. That idiot being me, but never mind. You can, however, get that housing off there. So bit of fluid in the bucket there, a couple of hoses and bits and bobs. And over here we've got that housing. So it goes on just like that in relation to the car, right? So it's the front of the car. This is the seal that's leaking. And of course, because it's a Gloria and it's decided that it's going to fight all the way, nobody's got that seal in town, so we have to order one of those. And hopefully the couriers get it to us tomorrow. Very unlikely. Although, to be fair, the lump of metal on the lathe here this one that I cut down to make the steering wheel boss, that did turn up on time. So it can happen. It just doesn't happen all that often these days because of stuff and things. So that's ordered. Wait for that. When that turns up, I can put it back in here and put that back together, and hopefully that fixes our leak. She's a bit of a funny size. Looks like it's an imperial size, not a metric size, which is pain in the brain being a metric car. Alrighty, so Friday morning. Actually a nice day today. Not humid. Look at that. That's beautiful. Cicadas going nuts out there. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock on Friday. I'm tired of this. This is holding us up. We're waiting for... Sorry if this is making you feel seasick. Swinging around all that. We're waiting for one of those. Might turn up today or it might not. So in the meantime, let's do something fun for a Friday. Let's go put this on the dyno and see if my... Look, the door's closed. Oh, preparation's terrible for this video. See if my new inlet manifold that you'll barely be able to see in there. There it is. Shame we couldn't do that this year. Never mind. Brand new inlet manifold and throttle body, bigger throttle body, trumpets and everything. Showed you all that. Let's see if that works. And my cold air intake. You can sort of see that there. Some of it, stuff and things. Let's see if that works. Oh yeah, that's cold air intake there. That's about all that's changed. So let's see if we can make... We had 400 kilowatts at the wheels exactly on 17 psi. So we've got now, since then, bigger radiator in the front here, bigger fittings all the way through, bigger fittings on the intercooler itself, and better manifold, bigger throttle body, and colder air intake with better air filters. Surely we can get like 4 more kilowatts. Let's go find out. Alright, on the dyno, not going yet. It's a good sign when you open the boot like that. Never mind. She's far from clean, and it pays to make sure that you do actually have petrol in the car before you bring it to the dyno, because despite having fueled it to the brim and having never gone anywhere with the car, running it at home uses up quite a lot of fuel. So quick trip back home, 5 minutes each way, put some petrol in it. Whoopsie daisy. All ready to go, although it is lunchtime, so we'll do that. Net gains are almost 10%, depending on what you're looking at. Here's the original trace on the torque. So we had a peak torque of almost 640 Newton meters, and now we're up probably for a longer area too. Yeah, it's a flatter curve at top, isn't it really? 680, I'm going to say, something like that. 680 Newton meters torque at the engine. It's kind of a guesstimation based on the diff ratios and stuff, but that'll be pretty accurate given these dynos. Same boost, so not bad. We've got, I'm not going to scroll through it, it's not my machine, I'm not going to muck around with it. We've got 430 kilowatts on our peak power, and it's just a line like this. It's just going to the moon. It's starting to drop off a little bit here at the end as this torque is just, I'm not going to say crashing, but it is falling off quite steeply, probably falling a little bit steeper than what the original one was, but from a higher value, so we've still got more torque. So net result is, so far, okay, just in case we break it, but stuff and things that I've done in here, they have worked very well. The car should go quite a lot quicker than what it was before. Nearly 10% at this point. We'll see, it might even be happier to take more boost now than what it was before. We were at 17 psi. I don't have any problems running 20, as long as everything's okay, you know, so we'll see. If we put another 1 or 2 at it, I think we'd easily get 450 kilowatts. Yeah, the hubs we're talking, quite a lot of drivetrain loss on this car, so 430 now, we're already way past 450, 460 at the engine. Yep, happy times, lunchtime, come back. Alrighty, so I think we're at 420 something kilowatts at the hubs. Repeatably, that's near enough 430, it's pretty close. Good gain on torque and power. Done for the day as far as tuning and stuff. Fluffing around now a bag of ice in the intercooler tank. Some of it went in there, some of it went elsewhere. And my hand's pretty cold now, but yeah, it's a bit of a mess. So now we're going to see what happens with intake air temperatures. We were seeing 100 out of the turbo. Let's come around here to the noise. At that sensor, sorry, crash the camera. That sensor there was saying 100 through the intercooler. That sensor there was saying 50. So now we're going to do a couple of runs, make sure it's all cycled through properly, and see what happens when you've got ice in there, how much difference that makes. Oh, it should make some. How much is the question? So there we go. It's all quiet in here now. And you can't argue with the laws of physics, and the laws of physics say that 30-degree ambient temp in here, or close to, and a lot of air blowing through our fancy intercooler radiator thing here at the front, so all the water that was coming from there going into that tank was probably close to 30 degrees, 28 degrees, something like that. And our couple of litres of ice, couple of kgs of ice, basically one run, and that was gone. So so it's a bit different at Super Lap because the cars can sit around for a bit and everything can cool down, and you're not trying to chill down the entire cooling system with your one set of ice. That'll all be cold when you put the ice in. It'll last longer. You get a little bit more time. Certainly worked at Leadfoot. Haven't tried it at Super Lap yet. Haven't bothered. Right, full disclosure, at home now, behind the door, done and dusted. Here's our dyno sheet. The bottom line, the red line, that's our previous runs with this car on that exact same dyno. That's the best it got, so it was bang on. It doesn't look like it on this one, but it was bang on 400 kilowatts, or just near enough, you know. And we were looking at it as like 640 newton meters of torque, something like that. So the best run we did today was just short of 700 newton meters of torque. We got 693 or something according to that, but it's not necessarily the peak. It's just where the cursor was when it was giving these numbers. So the peak was actually, it was a bit more than that, 695 or 6 or something like that. It was close enough, doesn't matter. Just short of 700 newton meters torque. The horsepowers, kilowatts, just short of, 440 kilowatts, 435 give or take. And then the yellow run. Now the yellow run Camera's getting bad today, isn't it? That's me. Yellow run is pretty consistent. That's what we were repeating time after time after time. It was doing that easily. The blue run, so the peak that you see there, the best that it did, that's when we chucked the ice in there. You can swap the camera. Here's ugly face for the day. I'll shift my hand out of the way so you're not seeing that. So when we did that best run, the blue run, the peak power for the day, that's not repeatable. That was a one-off, and the one pull was enough to put enough heat into that system to take care of the ice. It was gone after that, so the next run would have been slightly less power than that, because the inlet air temperatures would have come up and it would have started pulling the timing back in the chart. So with the ice in there, it dropped it down in the chart, so to speak, so that it only pulled a tiny little bit of timing out of it, like half a degree or something like that, instead of about, I think it was 1.5 degrees or something it was doing on the rest of it. So yes, it made more power with the ice in there, because it was, the intercooler was maybe marginally better. It was not a lot of difference in the air temp. It was 4 degrees or something like that we saw. So yeah, it was colder and it made more power as we expected, but not a lot. And not all of it's just purely because, well, it kind of is and kind of isn't, because the air's cold. So yeah, made more power because the air's cold, and because you could have slightly more spark timing without running into detonation, stuff like that. So before anyone posts up and says, yeah, but I know, I'm not stupid, I know these things. So what it actually needs to make more power is a bigger intercooler in the back. What a surprise. We've been saying that for some time. So the multimeter set on the old thermometer probe there. Bang that in the coolant tank. How hot are we in here today? Pretty warm. Oh, it's coming down. In the car it was hotter maybe. So bang that in the header tank under the bonnet there to see what was happening with the coolant temp. Come back, swapping cameras left, right and centre. To see what was happening with the coolant temp, so we would know whether that was getting hot and that was stopping the intercooler from working. And it's not. It was running at about 28 degrees. I think I might have mentioned it earlier on the video. It was sitting about 28 degrees, something like that, which is pretty much ambient temp, a couple of degrees below that. So we've got a big enough radiator, we've got enough coolant moving, we just don't have a big enough intercooler to take the heat out of the air and put it into the coolant. So, as I've said many times, bigger intercooler on the back, and we should make more power. So, all good. Have a good weekend. Catch us later. Bye.